Welcome to Factorio Angels Recap. My name is Nilas and this is the fifth of these recap of weekly sessions. So this one's coming out a bit late, but it's still updates only from what happened in the previous week, so not the stuff we've done this week. Anyway, so that means if you are watching right now on Twitch, we are certainly further than what we see in the base. However, it warrants an update because there was a large transition, as there always is, after a week of streaming. So the big change from previous week to this week is that now we have these rectangular not city blocks starting to really come into fruition, and it has been decided now that there is a structure, and that structure will have to be adhered to, and that's what we're working on. So what we have is we now have this row here is for plates. Actually, it's currently plates, but in future it'll be coils. Like this one, we have tin wire coil. And over here we have, this is a new one that has been built. This is the Strand casting. Oh, why am I starting like the furthest away from everything I can possibly do? So I wish I could move while looking at the map. All right, well, let's start with explaining this part. So you can see that I've now made sort of really far down here. And this is simply because I want to make sure that the Angels is working in a certain way. You get the Angels ore inbound, and then you can crush it. You can put it into a leaching plant, you can put it into crystallizers, and then there's one more that I'm never going to use. I'm going to use for one thing. So that means some of the processors, let's have a look at it so it kind of becomes obvious here. So I want to focus primarily on making the pure, not exclusively, but primarily working on these pure ones. So the thing we can do here is, you can see the only thing that uses, like, these are the purified Juvolite, and this one, titanium, has no value in unless you play pure Angels with Angels overhauls and all that stuff. So this is just not useful. Now tungsten we do need, and that's like very late, but this is the only thing that needs to be purified. So I'm only going to make it up to here, the crystallized, the crystal. But for example, iron, copper, lead, and tin, they require only the crushed to be working, and then the next ones, they require the chunks, which comes from the leaching plants. And then we go here, the more advanced, like titanium, gold, cobalt, silver, uranium, and thorium. Interesting. I'm gonna have to look at that at some point. So those require the crystals. That means I want to make sure that we have like dedicated location for doing each of these steps. The crushed, the leaching, the crushed, the chunks, of the crystals. And once that's done, I will be using this sorting formula, such as we do here. I mean, this one should have been brought further down, but you know, you see there, it's coming. So this is doing the sorting. So this output at this row will output the ore part, the Bob's ore, all of the different ones. I think we have 13 or 14 of those, so need a bit of space. We have 6 of these, so that's just going to be here. And then afterwards it comes into the next row, which will exclusively do the chunk parts. No, I'm sorry, I have to name the right thing. They're called ingots. They are, I just keep running a bit. Need to get up there and run across. And here we also have something interesting, but let's run across from this one. So we can go over to here. That one's something we started designing. And come on, you can do it. This one. So this one takes ore inbound and outputs ingots. Again, with Angels, if we look at, that goes over to the metallurgy, the smelting part. Let's actually look at it from here. For example, lead ingots. So lead is used to make lead ingots, basically. Lead ingots can now be used for several different things. It can be used combined with tin to make solder. It can be pure into molten lead, which goes into lead ore, or it can be into some weird brass. So that means it's good to have this available to logistics bots so that they can transport it wherever they need. And that's where the next one comes in. If we then go up here, then we have one of the newer things that have been created. This is taking exactly this. Solder, molten solder, you can see how they're coming in, getting mixed, and then coming into the strand casting. Strand casting will use a lot more. Strand casting is making coils instead of doing plates, and we really love coils. Now, strand casting is another monster in this. There are several tiers of strand casting, but the first one is just needs water, but the next ones and the next ones again use different types of coolant, and that gets really complicated. You can, for example, see here, it's 80 molten for 4 wire coils. So you need 20 molten copper for 1 coil. In this case, we are getting 8 outbound, and we are using less than the 160 molten that you would need. So you're getting a kind of like a 10% upgrade. In my opinion, it's not worth running for a 10% upgrade by doing the cooling. So I'd rather just build more of this. So that's just how we're going to do it. We're going to do the basic, unless there's a really compelling argument for doing the next one. The materials are really expensive, but they're not. So just build this. This is making quite a lot, 153,000 solder wire coils. That's a bit much. And now we can see this grid has been extended, but there are still some eyesores that still have like the old setup, and those need to be dealt with. Like we've taken this one. That's actually a really beautiful one. Beautiful. Is that the right word? I don't know. This is working. I'm not gonna rush and convert these, even though they're on the path, because when we do it, we want to make sure that it's a sizable upgrade. Likewise, for example, this copper is really poor, but I don't want to make an upgrade until I can make a significant update. Now this one, it's a pretty nice build. Let's see, yeah, and it makes the storage like rather quickly though. But this is also our main drain on. It's consuming all of the crushed stone we can ever produce in this base, and it's a concern. We're seeing here we don't have any crushed stone and we don't have any slag. So yeah, and that's coming in here. They are being consumed and they go into a process here. They get converted into slag slurry, and the slag slurry adds some sulfuric acid and then goes in here and becomes some mineral sludge, and mineral sludge can go into just this little one and be super easily fast converted in a crystallizer into some catalysts. And that's a pretty good build, I think. I'm very happy with it. And then we have to go the other way. We've also got a dedicated logistics location. This will be continued to expand so that this one will just be our logistics storage. So we'll have it because it'll be sort of in the middle. All the stuff up here will be like finished products, and all the stuff down here will be Angel's and Bob's smelting. It's kind of the essence of that idea. Also, this will be one of the next big projects, getting rid of the bus. And so first thing is getting rid of the bus so that everything gets serviced by robots. Then the next one will be converting into one construction grid so that I can build faster with construction bots everywhere. Then the next one after that is start moving the things that are on the grid lines on the sacred path into dedicated location. Once that's done, and we've moved all of this and these here out away from or into dedicated locations, then we can also move the hub to be into some dedicated locations as well. And then at that point, everything is now grid aligned, which is going to be a nice big step forward. There's still some, like this coke plant here is just really awful, but it is what it is. Now, we have also built a power plant. Let's just go up there and then we save the biggest and most interesting thing for the end. See, that's me foreshadowing. So we have a new power plant, and this was suggested in chat that instead of using like this part, where we use solid fuel going into a boiler that goes into the steam engines, then you can actually do it with liquid fuel, such as using fuel oil. Fuel oil goes in here and it goes into steam engines, so it goes into a fluid burning boiler, which is way more efficient, and it has an interesting way of working. So the way it works is that it doesn't consume a fixed amount of liquid. a liquid fuel, it consumes a fixed amount of fuel value. That means whatever this one comes in with fuel value, it consumes as much as it needs to fulfill the fuel value. That's pretty brilliant actually, because it means that this one, I can rely on this one to produce 5.4 megawatts, and that will always be 3 of these steam engines. Because each of these consume 30 water, and this one can consume 90 water. That means that it can also produce 90 steam, and it'll then use as much fuel as it needs to convert it. And that means if you put in the fuel like this, which has a fuel value of 250, or if you want to do a fuel value, let's see if I can do that just to illustrate. And this is crude oil is surprisingly more efficient. This is 1.9 megajoules, so 7 to 8 times more efficient to just burn crude oil instead of fuel oil. Okay, so we're gonna convert into that anyway. But this is a nice build, and it saved our hides when we ran into some power issues. Whoops. I always do that. It's just a thing I do. Now let's look at the biggest step forward and also the biggest design part of the previous week of working on the base. So that's all the way over here. We wanted to do something. Basically, I have been, at this point, the silicon is stuck. So why is the silicon stuck? Silicon is stuck because we don't have any silicon ores. We don't have silicon ore because I have converted from using. I used sorting of bobmonium, that one, which gave 2 tin and 1 silicon. I've converted into using the pure tin, which is a weird icon now. This one. So I'm no longer producing any residual silicon. So that means I need to use this one, silicon ore. But I can't really use that because I don't have separate chunks, I don't have bobmonium chunks, and I don't have crystal catalyst. So they started working on the crystal catalyst, but also started working on designing down here for the chunks, at least just planning it out. So in order for us to make crystal catalyst, that's a really horrible thing, but so this is only done in one way, and that's coming from crystal seedlings. Crystal seedlings will, no matter what, it'll come from crystal slurry, but whether with a coal filter or a ceramic filter. Either way, it comes from crystal slurry. Crystal slurry has different recipes. It can either come from crystal dust, or it can come from the geodes directly. And so when we look at geodes, that is there is a nice recipe. This one has to be changed because it's using incorrectly. There is a thing like called washing the rainbow. I guess that's what it's called. It's called that now. And this one is washing the rainbow. So what it does is, damn, I need to get rid of this. That's the one. This one is washing the rainbow, which basically means that it takes like mud, and mud becomes like heavy mud water. Heavy mud water can then be refined, somehow washing it into geodes. And the geodes here have the different colors, so they just come out here in a nice rainbow color, gets put into these locations, which will then go up to a smelting location such as this. If I want to do something different, I'll just do there. I just want it to look like it's working again. Let's just get it up and running so it looks nice. This is where we want. This is how we want it to look. Yeah. And now the other one's stuck. No matter what, it happens. But anyway, the point is that we will have a lot of materials here. Yeah. There. Okay, so now they're both working. They're all going to be here. The point is that they will always be consumed so that I will run out of this one. This one will be empty. This one will be converted. It converts into lots of stone. All of this process is basically converting into crystal dust and crushed stone. I could go directly, as we saw up here, could go directly from the geodes, and it's slightly more efficient. However, I really prefer first converting all of them into crystal dust, because crystal dust is one product. then it gets much easier to manage by just crushing everything. Plus we get additional crush stone, which we just saw we needed like as much as we can get away with over here. So that means we have lots of crystal dust. Now the crystal dust has a purpose in this sequence here. So that means we need to combine it with an abundance of sulfuric acid, which is what you can see here. You can see how fast it goes out. And this just converts it into, you can see how it goes. Next, next, next. This is using a lot of sulfuric acid. And this just keeps going here. These should definitely be into one box, because otherwise this one will be super busy, but this one will not be used for anything basically. Yeah, a couple. But that's that will go into barrels, crystal slurry barrels. And as we said, lots and lots of sulfuric acid. That means we have to build a dedicated sulfuric acid location, which takes the sulfur we have from various locations around the base. We have 69,000 everywhere. Like here, for example, we have a fair bit. And that makes a few things that we find are useful. We have, we're making nitrogen that we just put into boxes for whatever, and we have our sulfuric acid. We have 6,700 canisters of sulfuric acid. That's going to be one hell of a toxic spill if that leaks. And we also are accumulating some oxygen, which we can then transport to somewhere else if we need it. But that means we have now a consistent and reliable delivery here of sulfuric acid. That's good. And now we have the barrels of slurry. And that goes in here in this recipe to make seedlings. You can see here the seedlings, and they can't output. It outputs up here. Why can it not output? Because. Well, this is the output. This is the input. Oh, hold on. This is the input, and this is the output. Output goes where? That one shouldn't be necessary. And output goes down here, 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 and back up again. Where the hell is it going? What am I missing? Where's this going, the crystal slurry? Oh, there it is. That's the one. Ah, I was getting confused. And this one is completely full. That's why it's stuck. So this one's making all of the crystal seedlings we can wish for. There's a build here. There's a build up here. And they're just making. And those are all being transported up to this location, which will just nice and slowly build a lot of crystal catalysts. So it actually turns out that because we build it like this, we're getting way more crystal catalyst than we need. And this is just going to be like, all right, fine. This one, just make crystal catalyst. That's going to be good. This one makes the mineral catalyst. And that means we can also make the last catalyst, which is the one that combines. This one, hybrid catalyst, just combine it. 2 of each gives 2 of those. So it's just more expensive, but it's only used for like some of the more advanced stuff. That means now this is the one thing as part of the pure we need. That means one of the next upcoming things, aside from cleaning out the bus, making a global construction network, removing things into grids, then it's also a dedicated design work for each of the Angels ore, dedicated design work for each of the Bobs, smelting parts, and then we also, once sort of that has stabilized, then we can continue checking and opening up the production science and utility science and proceed into the late game. So there's definitely tons and tons of stuff to do, but I think that with the base is getting into a much more structured form, which is what I really wanted to get to. At first it was just like chaos, and then there's an emergent pattern. It's happening at some point, and not surprisingly, this is going to be a robot-fed city block design, which I like for this work, and it works really well with Angels because there are these slow bots, and it's also part of the Twitch interaction. So maybe I should have said that up front, but if you are interested in seeing more Angels, do drop on by on my Twitch channel, and I am streaming this Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday every week at 8 p.m. Central European Summertime for 4 hours. So that's going to be 12 hours of Factorio streaming every week of this magnificent mod pack. it's daunting, but I really enjoy it because it's nice and quiet. We do some really cool designs that have never been seen before. So that's always part of what I really enjoy. Anyway, that's going to be it for us. Thank you very much for all your support, and I will see you guys over on Twitch or here on YouTube. Until next time, take care, stay effective. As always, bye.